In this module, I'm going to go over tables. There's a lot of information on tables, so I've broken it into two parts. In the first part, I'll go over inserting various types of tables, working with cells, rows, and columns, the table properties, and manipulating the data within the table. In the second part, I'll go over table borders and table styles. So let's begin on a blank document, and I'll show you how to insert various types of tables. The tables commands are under the Insert tab, so let's click Insert, go to the Tables group, and click the More button on Table. The first type of table we're going to insert is the grid type table. This is where you choose how many rows and columns you want in your table by going across the grid. Once you've selected the number of rows and columns you want, click the left mouse button. This will place the table within your document. Once you insert the table, you'll notice that the Table Tools, Design, and Layout contextual tabs appear. Anytime you're working within the table, these two tabs will appear. We'll discuss them in more detail later. Let's go back to the Insert tab, click on the More button, and choose Insert Table. Once you choose Insert Table, the Insert Table dialog box will open. From here, we actually choose the number of rows and the number of columns we want in our table, and then we can also choose the auto-fit behavior, whether we want the columns to be auto, or we can choose the size of them. We can tell it to auto-fit to the contents or auto-fit to the window. When you tell it to auto-fit to the contents, what it will do is it will make the columns as wide as the information in them. If you choose auto-fit to the window, it will fit the table within the margins. So let's go ahead and set the number of columns and rows we wish in our table. We can also choose Remember Dimensions for a new table. What this will do is remember this every time you come in and set up a new table. So we'll click OK, and there is our table. Let's go back to the Insert tab, the Tables group, and click the More button again, and come down to Draw Table. With the Draw Table, you'll notice that the mouse icon changes to a pencil. This is where we draw our table. So let's go ahead and draw our table. As you can see, I can make the columns as wide as I want. I can make my rows go all the way across or only in certain columns. That's the great thing about using the draw feature. You make it exactly how you want it to appear. You don't have to come in later and merge or split rows and columns to do that. Let's go back to the Insert tab, click the More button, and choose Excel Spreadsheet. This is an interesting feature. What it does when you click on it is it actually pulls Excel into Word for you. From here you can use the Excel features when you're creating your table. Once you're done, click outside the table and it adds it for you. When you double click back into the table, it takes you back into the Excel functions. Let's go back to the More button and choose our last one, Quick Tables. When you click on Quick Tables, it brings up a list of built-in tables. These are tables that Word offers for you. From here you can choose different types of calendars, double tables, matrices, tabular lists, and so forth. So we'll just choose one of them. Once you click on it, it's going to add it to your document. Those are the various options that are available to you for setting up tables. Let's move over to our sample document so we can start working with the Design and Layout tabs. So here I've got my basic table, and I'm going to use it as the sample to show you how to manipulate the data, align data, merge cells, split the table, and so forth. The functions that we're going to use are on the Layout contextual tab. So let's go ahead and go up to the Layout tab and click on it. Let's briefly go over the functions that are available within the Layout tab. If we start all the way over to the left, we've got the Table group. From here, we've got Select, where we can tell it to select the cell, select a column, row, or table. We've got View Grid Lines, which allows us to show or hide grid lines in our table. And then we've got the Table Properties. This is where we can come to set our alignment and our text wrapping for the table, rows, columns, cells. And then we've got alternate text where we can put in a title and description for our table. Now let's come back over to the Row tab. From here we've got a couple more options. The first one, allow row to break across pages. Checking this box will allow a row that's very long to split across pages if it's down at the bottom of the page. Our second option, repeat as header row at the top of each page. Checking that box will allow the row that you're in to repeat on each page if your table is more than one page long. You can also navigate between the previous and next rows using these buttons. So you can set these options exactly how you want them for each row within your table. Let's click on the Column tab. Within the Column tab, we can set the preferred width for our columns. Let's click on the Cell tab. From here, we can also set the preferred width of our cells, and we can set the alignment for each cell. Let's click OK. Let's move over to the Rows and Columns group now. Here we've got our options for inserting and deleting. If we click on the More button for delete, we've got the options to delete a cell, columns, rows, or the entire table. Our insert, we can insert above where our cursor is, below it, to the left, or to the right. Our merge group allows us to merge cells if we've got multiple cells highlighted, split cells, and also split the table. The cell size group allows us to set the size for each cell. We've also got the options for auto fit. So again, we can fit to the contents, the window, or set a fixed column width. The alignment group does exactly what it says. It allows us to set up the alignment, whether we want it centered, left justified, right justified. We can do the alignment vertically as well as horizontally. We can also set the direction of our text and our cell margins. So within the cell, we can tell it exactly how far in we want the contents. By clicking on it, we can tell it top, bottom, left, and right margins, just like you would with a document. We can also allow spacing between the cells and automatically resize to fit contents. Our last group, data, allows us to sort our data, set our repeat header rows, convert our data to text, and create formulas. So now that we've done a quick review of the Layout tab, let's go ahead and start working with our table. So the first thing we want to do is come into the table and center the information in our second row. So what I'm going to do is bring my cursor down to where the second row is. Once I've got my cursor next to the row, I'm going to click with the left mouse button, and you'll notice it highlights the entire row. Now that I've got the row highlighted, I'm going to come up to the alignment group, and I'm going to choose center. This option will center the text horizontally and vertically within the cell. So let's go ahead and click on it. You'll notice the information is now centered within the cells. So now that we've got the information centered, let's come in and make that cell a little bit bigger. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my cursor on the line between the two rows. And you'll see that my cursor became a line with arrows on it. At this point, I'm going to click on the left mouse button and drag down. When I've got it the size I want, I'm going to release. And you can see now that it is centered horizontally as well as vertically. And that's another way also that you can increase the size of your rows. I can also do that on my columns just by putting the mouse on the line, holding down the left clicker, and dragging either way. Let's go over adding and deleting rows or columns. Let's go ahead and delete the last column in the table. So I'm going to put my cursor at the very top of the column, and you'll notice my mouse changes to a down arrow. That tells me it's pointing at this column, so I can do the left clicker, and it highlights the entire column. I've got many options available to me. I can go up to the Rows and Columns group and choose deletion from there. I can use delete from the mini toolbar. I can do a right click and delete, or I can hit the delete button. Now you need to think about what you're going to do with the deletion. Do you want to delete the column, or do you want to delete the information from it? If I use the delete button, it will delete the information from the column. If I actually want to delete the column, I've got to choose my other options. So let's go to the mini toolbar and click the More button next to delete. Here I've got my options for deleting cells, columns, rows, and table. We'll click delete columns, and our column is gone. Now let's insert a row into the table. Just like with delete, there are many options available for inserting. I can click on a row. I can choose the More button on the mini toolbar and tell it where I want to insert the information, above or below. I can do the same thing by going to the Rows and Columns group and choosing Insert Above or Insert Below. But there's another feature as well. When I move my cursor over to the row, you'll notice I get a circle with a plus in it. This is the Insert Control button. If I click on this, it's going to automatically insert a row above where I am. So it's a great feature for quickly inserting a row within your table. At this point, I want to show you how to merge and split cells. So let's start with split. This last column in the table I want to split into two columns. I'm going to highlight the column. I'm going to come up to the merge group and click split cells. Once I do that, the split cells dialog box will open. From here I choose my options. Now you'll notice I've got a checkbox here that says merge cells before split. Be careful when choosing this option, because what this is going to do is it's going to take all the information within my rows and it's going to merge it into one row, and then it's going to split into two columns. So let's go ahead and say OK on this option so you can see what it would look like. So as you can see, it took all my information and put it into the first two columns. That's not what I want to do. So I'm going to click undo. I'm going to come back over to split. I'm going to uncheck that box. Once you uncheck it, the only option I have is to tell it how many columns I want to split it into. So I want to split it into two, and I'll say OK. And there I go. I can also split just individual cells. Let's do a merge at this point. I want to take the top row and merge it into one cell, and then I want to go ahead and center the information. So let's go ahead and highlight the top row, come up to the merge group, and click merge cells. Now I've got the cells all merged into one, and let's go ahead and center the information. Using the merge and split features allows you to get into more detail, just like when we did the draw table. It allows us to get more unique looking cells within our table. And you'll see how this comes into play when we work on some of our other examples. Let's go ahead and delete the second row. So we'll come over, highlight it, use the delete button, and tell it to delete the row. Let's sort the information within our table. What I want to do is sort the information based upon the class and then by the students in it. So I want the classes to be in alphabetical order, and then I want the subgroup for each class to have the students' names in alphabetical order. There are several ways that you can do this, but what I'm going to do is highlight the cells that contain the information that I want to sort. So I've got everything highlighted. I'm going to come over to the data group and click the sort button. Once I click the sort button, it's going to bring up the sort dialog box. From here I tell it what I want it to sort by, the type of data, and what I'm using, and also what order, ascending or descending. I want to sort first by the class, so I'm going to sort by column 1. The type of data is text. I can do numbers and I can also do dates. I want it in ascending order, and then I'm going to sort by column 2. Same thing, text, ascending order. Now because I've got the information in my table highlighted that I want to sort by, it's not giving me the option to choose whether I've got a header row or not. So I'm going to click OK. And now it's gone in and it's sorted by the class and then alphabetically the students within each class. That's how I can reorder the data within the table. I can also change the direction that the text is within cells. So if I wanted class to go in another direction, I would highlight it, come to the alignment group, and click text direction. Now don't forget, when you're working with tables, you also have the other tabs that you can work with as well. So you can customize the table any way you want.